accustomed to the thought, I, just like everybody else, at one point will be maybe yes, maybe not, a name on a stone. So if you walk, you have, here, the graveyards, perfect opportunity to see how many people were in the past that were thinking just like you, that they're not going to die, and now they're dead. Where are they now? Gone. Yeah? We don't have this thing that we are dying. It's not there somehow. Only when a doctor comes and tells us, I can't cure you. So this is why we go through these points. It's quite painful. So as I said, if it's too painful, then, and you don't want to listen to it, you don't even want to think about it, it's okay. You just go for a walk and you think, I'm still alive, I can still make my life meaningful. These topics, never force yourself to look at them. But as you go for a walk, then also think, but at one point I will still die. And maybe what do I want to do with my life until then? It seems very, we're very calm and we're very open when we listen to these things. If you don't have somebody, if it's not you, or if you don't have somebody that is dying kind of next to you or has just died, then it seems no big deal, this death thing. But if somebody has died, or if you know that you won't live that much longer, it becomes very big. It's a big event in our life, and we don't give it the importance that it deserves. Okay, so there's 9 points in this kind of teaching, which are easy to understand. So to know it intellectually is very easy. To integrate it, to live according to it, to realize it is very difficult. So that's why we go through these points again and again and again, and we will also do so in the reflection that we will do. So this is certain, yes or no? Because why? So now it's not enough just to say that. We need to give reasons why to the mind why it is like this. Because everybody who was born had to die. There's not one. Even the Buddha had to die. Jesus had to die. All these highly realized beings, they died. The Dalai Lama will die. He's the 14th, so he already died 14 times. We have died many, many times. We just don't remember. Maybe because it's so traumatic that we forget. I don't know. Because it can be, I don't know if you are with dying people often. Death is not as peaceful as we think it is. It can be very, very agitated and panicking and a lot of suffering. Yeah, it's not that, I did my best, goodbye, I'm going. There's a lot of struggle. I don't know if anybody has experienced it, staying with dying people. No? Try to go and volunteer in hospice. It will take away your fear of death. You'll be very grateful for these people to let you into their very private privacy of their last moments in their life. You will feel very honored, and you'll be very grateful, and you will feel very humble. And if you see somebody who dies peacefully, then you are so inspired. You are so inspired. Yeah? And if you see that there can be a lot of struggle, it will make you work, so that for you it might be more peaceful and you become a source of inspiration for others. It's impossible to find a body that does not die, except for a Buddha body, okay? But when they manifest as humans, then they will also have to pass away. So what about us? Then every moment we are approaching death, cannot find anything true. Here's something missing. Cannot add anything to the lifespan. Yeah? It's like having a bank account where nothing is being put in, but only taken out. So when we lose some money, big regret, I should have been more careful. When we waste time, absolutely no regret. You see, when we waste time by doing exactly the things that will prevent us from having a peaceful death, we don't regret it. Whereas when we waste money, which we can't take with us anyway, then it's big regret. We're constantly involved in causes that will not help at the time of death. So this is like, it's kind of not a reason, but it's to take stock a little bit. There's a kind of, I was just trying to find out if this was my fault or somebody else's fault. I did formate it right, but then the formation got lost here with the time of death is uncertain. So we, like for when we're children, there's not much we can do to kind of train the mind because we're busy growing up. When you're teenagers, you're definitely not interested in it. Or there are a few, but it's very, very rare. And then as we get like middle-aged, then we need to build a family, we need to have a job to support the family, we need to make sure the children grow up properly, we need to sustain them, and when we're older, and finally the kids are out of the house, what do? They get married and you become softas and softas. Then again, no time for practice. You see, sometimes in Bern, because I'm there since 10 years, so people would say, wow, when I'm on pension, then I can really come for whatever I want to come. But then they became grandmothers and grandfathers, especially the grandmothers. They have less time now than they had when they were working, because at least when they were working and no grandchildren, they had evenings off. Yeah? So if you're very unhappy about not having children, just think, the time that you have that you don't have to work is for you. That's great, Like if, in case you're unhappy about not having children, this is what I mean. Transform that unhappiness because it doesn't make you have children if you're just unhappy about not having them. And one can be very happy not having children. This is one of the questions that was asked me, I think on my first visit, and I thought, like, where am I here? Because somebody said, really seriously, how can you be a woman and not have children and be happy? I thought, what is he asking? Why shouldn't I be happy? But here, and then after, with time being here, I kind of understood it's a big problem, especially for the women. It's like, there's so many people already in the world. Why do we have to make our own? There's enough people. Because also then he said, because I said, yeah. So he said, well, if everybody would be like you, the world will die out of humans. And I said, well, that's not the problem at the moment. It will take a long time until this becomes a problem. So there's enough humans for the moment who will still have children. So there's no need to be unhappy. Then you look at the advantages of not having children. Like, for example, a friend of you needs you, but you don't have grandchildren that you have to look after, you can go. Yeah? You're free to, with your free time, you're free to do whatever you like. You don't need to be depressed. Or if you still that doesn't help, then go to families where they have a lot of problems with the kids. When the kids are really not doing what they would like them to do, then you go like, oof, good thing I don't have it. Okay. So, like our life, in order to survive, we need to do a lot of things that are, when the mind is not trained, is not spiritual practice, it's just sustaining our daily activities. So then whatever time you have, then, make a decision to use it more for your spiritual practice. So that's the conclusion of that. Death is certain. The time of death, because we can't find a body that does not die, lifespan constantly decreases, and then also becoming aware that we actually spend little time on our mind. We spend a lot of time on the body and on having fun and all these kind of things. So then out of that, a conclusion would come, which I forgot to add. I should have added it. Another thing to add is like the conclusion is, from now on, I will spend more time working on a meaningful life, what I find meaningful. Yeah? If you see that already your life is very meaningful, then you can stay where you are. For a Buddhist, it would be working towards full awakening. So the conclusion here is missing. Then the next point is the time of death is uncertain. Yeah? So again, we need to give ourselves reasons why that is true. So So we don't have a fixed lifespan. You see, if you have a subscription in your gym, right? A yearly subscription. How many of you go to gyms? Okay, so you get a subscription, isn't it? Yeah, it's okay to go to the gym. It's not a sin. It's fine. It's better than to get drunk, you know? But you have a subscription, and then sometimes also, I don't know you, maybe you're very disciplined, but maybe sometimes you have periods where you get a bit slack and a bit lazy, and you know, life, you're too tired and don't feel like it. But when you look at your subscription, you go, oh, I've only three days left. What do? Do you go like and you say, no, I'm not going? Where does your tiredness go? When you see it runs out. And now the 3 days you can still go for free, but then afterwards you have to pay again. What do? You go or you don't go? You go. Exactly. You see, again, if life would be like this, we know everybody lives until 80, we would have plenty of time to have fun, and then at 60 we start practicing seriously. Then the neuroplasticity, it's a bit brittle and it doesn't work so much anymore, but still we would give our whole time to that. This is what Hindus do, for example. They build a family, they look after the family, the kids grow up, and then they leave. The guys, the men. The women have to stay behind to be softas. But guys can go and look after their spiritual health. So we don't have fixed lifespan. You can die any moment. Babies can die in the womb, you can die at birth, you can die as a young child, you can die as a child, you can die as a teenager, in your 20, 30, 40, any time. But we think only old people die, so we're sure, I will die, yeah. But only when I'm old. The problem is you will never feel old. You know, I'm almost 70, and when I was 20, people who are 70, they're ancient. You know, like, what? 70, my gosh, I'll never get there. I couldn't imagine being 70. Now I don't feel like 70, unfortunately. I feel it in the body, but unfortunately, this ego doesn't age. That's the problem. So then, you know, I'm 70, I don't feel like it. We're even proud of it. You know? If we would see that, hey, life is really running out, come on, do something. But we don't see it. You never feel old. Body, yeah, but not really the mind or the I or the ego. That is the problem. So, what do you think, you old people? Is it like that or not?
Who old people?
You old people. Now we call old people, we're not allowed to call them old anymore. It's an insult, isn't it? We call them elderly. Elderly is older than old. Right? Might as well call them old. So there's no fixed lifespan. So the time of death is uncertain. You have to underline it because it's one of these headings. It's one of the roots. Then many causes for death, few to support life. Like life is really dangerous. It is much more difficult to upkeep a living body than to destroy it. It needs very little to destroy a human body.